The big talking points analysed ahead of the midweek Premier League fixtures as Chelsea host Leeds, Bournemouth visit Everton, Spurs face Newcastle and Man Utd go to West Ham on Tuesday. Follow live on the Sky Sports app, watch free highlights shortly after full time. Chelsea have been flat-track bullies under Liam Rosenior in the Premier League. 4 wins and 11 goals have put them firmly in the Champions League race, making ground on third-placed Aston Villa and moving above Liverpool. Leeds will test their improvements. Daniel Farke's side were going down until the sides met at the start of December. Leeds switched to a back three for the first time and ended a 4-game losing streak with a 3-1 victory full of energy at Elland Road. They have lost just twice in their 11 league games since then, moving 6 points above the bottom three. Chelsea had just earned a spirited 1-1 draw with 10 men against Arsenal and were being talked up as possible title contenders before Leeds ended those hopes and marked the beginning of the end for Enzo Maresca. Rosenior's arrival has not been without its issues. His tactics were questioned in their Carabao Cup exit to Arsenal and they avoided defeats to Napoli and West Ham with dramatic second-half comebacks. They cannot afford to keep giving the opposition head starts. Cole Palmer roared back into form with a hat-trick at Wolves on Sunday, but this will be a wholly different assignment against an aggressive Leeds side that thrives under the lights, winning 5 and drawing one of their 7 evening fixtures this season. The move to the Hill Dickinson Stadium has not yet paid off for Everton, whose European hopes have been boosted by the 5th best away record in the Premier League, leaving them just 2 points behind 6th-placed Liverpool. Everton are still adjusting to their new surroundings, with just 4 wins at home since leaving Goodison Park, their last coming in early December, but Bournemouth have only 2 victories on the road. The visitors have recently eased relegation concerns with a 5-game unbeaten run. They should have earned a 3rd consecutive victory on Saturday against Aston Villa, denied by Emi Martinez's 7 saves, but new signing Ryan showed more promise on his first start since signing from Vasco da Gama for £30.3 million. The 19-year-old Brazilian, who is seen as a long-term replacement for Antoine Semenyo, followed up his assist at Wolves the week before by ghosting past Lucas Digne on the right before firing past Martinez. Bournemouth are still providing plenty of attacking threat without Semenyo and the injured Justin Kluivert and Marcus Tavernier. Everton haven't lost in 5 either and their late turnaround win at Fulham added to goals in the final 15 minutes against Brighton and Leeds in their previous 2 games. David Moyes' side are grinding out results and now they need one on home turf to really worry Liverpool and the top 7. 2 managers under pressure. 2 stretched squads. And so much on the line when a team with a wretched home record hosts visitors with away day issues. Thomas Frank and Eddie Howe have been forced to field questions about their managerial futures amid worrying runs of results and performances from their teams, and this is a game they dare not lose. Howe can at least lean on a favourable record against Frank. He's won 6 of their 9 meetings. His points per game record against the Dane is Howe's best against any manager he's faced at least 5 times. But with just 2 wins out of their last 15 on the road in the Premier League, Newcastle will be just as nervy as the home side going into this one. Spurs supporters were right behind their side at Old Trafford on Saturday, despite the handicap of Christian Romero's early red card. But, without their captain on Tuesday, it would not be a surprise to feel the atmosphere sour if Newcastle do make a positive start in the game. Tottenham fans have seen their team win just 4 of their last 26 at home in the league. Being sucked into a relegation battle is not out of the question for the Londoners, while European qualification is looking increasingly tricky for Newcastle. For both, the win would be precious. For both, a defeat would be devastating. It's 2 years since Manchester United last beat West Ham. Crescencio Somerville is on a 5-game scoring streak. And Nuno Espirito Santo has revived the Hammers' survival hopes with 3 wins in 4 Premier League games. But the momentum Manchester United will bring to East London on Tuesday night under Michael Carrick's management would be daunting for any opponent right now. Last time in the capital, they pulled off a thrilling win at Premier League leaders Arsenal, and with 4 wins on the spin, former Hammers midfielder Carrick is marshalling a team filled with confidence. Bruno Fernandes has been at the heart of Carrick's fast start, scoring against Spurs to reach 200 goal involvements for the club, and with 10 in his last 8 Premier League away games, Nuno will need a game plan to limit him. But after beating one of his old sides on Saturday, the expectation is that Carrick will do the same to West Ham this midweek, regardless of the Hammers' recent resurgence. Aston Villa's home form has them third in the Premier League table, having turned Villa Park into a fortress under Unai Emery. 18 unbeaten there in the competition last season, they had won 8 in a row this time around until this alarming dip of late. Home losses to Everton and Brentford have curtailed momentum, and there really will be panic on the Holt end if they succumb to defeat against Brighton. Manchester United and Chelsea are catching Villa. Liverpool are not far behind. The fear is that it is not only the teams below them who are catching up with Villa but the schedule too. Emery's side could yet play 60 games this season compared to United's 40, and are without Yuri Tielemans, John McGinn and Boubacar Kamara. None of that midfield trio are expected back until April, and that presents a challenge for Emery to find solutions within the squad. With Leeds at home next up in the Premier League followed by Wolves away, any slip would be a major blow to their top 5 hopes. Fabian Herzler's concerns are even more immediate given the chance of, you don't know what you're doing and you're getting sacked in the morning during Brighton's home defeat to rivals Crystal Palace on Sunday. A result at Villa might be required. Some may argue that the pressure has been on all season for Scott Parker and Burnley. It's always a tough ask for promoted teams to be competitive in their first season back in the Premier League. But for a club that has often stuck with managers in difficult moments, the board's ears might begin to prickle after boos on Saturday as the Clarets lost 2-0 to relegation rivals West Ham, that is despite having 18 shots, their most in a Premier League game this season. It leaves them 11 points from safety and with no win in 16 league outings since beat bottom side Wolves on October 26. Until recently, they might have earmarked a trip to Crystal Palace as one where points could be gained. The Eagles were rarely out of the headlines in January amid a tumultuous period, but picking up their first Premier League win in 9 games against rivals Brighton will give them a boost. It has taken the sting out of the tail at Selhurst Park when one wondered if a superb period of success was spectacularly unravelling before our eyes. That seems to have been halted for the time being, and at home against teams near or below them, Crystal Palace have a good record. The form guide says it will be another tough Premier League match for Burnley, as Parker continues to look for ways to avoid the drop back into the Championship. Manchester City have been involved in some nonsensical games in recent weeks, the win at Liverpool and draw at Tottenham just 2 of them, and yet their position in the title race seems to make perfect sense. City might need something special to topple Arsenal, but the prospect is yet to be rendered inconceivable. The statement at Anfield will have done as much to convince the City players themselves as it has to remind those of us who merely pass comment that the race is still open. Gary Neville believes Pep Guardiola, Erling Haaland and Gianluigi Donnarumma to be central to this rival plan. But that's too simplistic and overlooks the importance of Bernardo Silva, Rodri, as well as the returning Ruben Dias, the spine of strength. They all know how to win titles. Coupled with that is the immediate impact of January additions Marc Guehi and Antoine Semenyo, compelling reinforcements at this stage of the season. They both bring fresh ambition. Moving to within 3 points of the Gunners with victory over Fulham would ensure the scoreboard pressure mounts, and Arsenal have proven to be unreliable leaders when chasers make their move to overtake in the past. City may have to leave it late again against Fulham, who have lost 8 games this season after the 80th minute. It might just be enough to divert Arsenal's attention. If City wrestle enough initiative, they won't back down until they get what they want. Pep will make sure of that. Every day of the weekend brought a fresh blow for Nottingham Forest. Their insipid defeat